All right. We are towards the end of the month, which means we're getting deeper and deeper into these concepts of cross-body connection to help with things like gait, things with like reaching across, trunk rotation, things like that. We are going to start standing. So make sure you come up onto your feet. Make sure you have lots of room to move. And then as always, I like to have a chair nearby just for in case I need balance support or, to demonstrate some balance support. You can do things next to a wall or with a wall behind you or a couch behind you as well. Again, if you have those balance challenges, we're going to start with our feet a little bit wider than our hips, actually quite a bit wider. So separate your feet. And then bonus points if you can have your toes facing forward. Okay, so maybe even like a little bit of stretch on the sides of the feet. We're going to slide into a little side lunge here and bring both hands to your knee on the left side. Good. And then press off and then slide into a side lunge and have both hands on the right knee. Beautiful. And we're just going to move from side to side here, getting our brain kind of wrapped in left side, right side. So identifying our left sides and right sides, put some pressure through both hands onto your knee. Make that relationship kind of like what we just talked about off the recording, but making a relationship with your body. Yeah. Now just go the opposite hand. So the opposite hand to the knee and then opposite hand to the knee. Make a relationship, put pressure in there. I'm even doing like a bounce, 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 bounce. Yeah. So again, a little bit of like maybe vibration or sort of pressure, compression. Yep. Let's do 2 more, getting kind of warmed up. And last one. Let's finish on the other side, finish on the side that you did not just start with. Beautiful. Now you're going to turn your left foot open and look to your left. So looking at your wall or something to the left of you. Turn your left foot forward again. Your right foot is going to pivot out and you're going to turn your body and look at something on the right side of the room. Yep. And then turn the foot forward and you're looking forward. We're going to go through that again a few times. So pivoting the foot, turn your body, find your eyes on that thing to the left side of the room. You can look at me in the front and then pivot and look to the right side of the room. Go ahead and move through that. Some of you are going to work faster or slower than me. And making literal eye contact with that thing. Okay, hopefully it's inside your room. If there's a window, maybe look at the window frame. So I want you kind of in this like field of vision that's a little closer. Good. Let's do 2 more. Working on some foot stuff too, right? Let's pivot. And then 1 more time each side. When I say 2 more, I'm like, is it 2 more on each side or 2 more total? I don't know. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's the other. Very good. Nice job. And then go ahead and just move your hips side to side. What's that dance that those kids do? Yeah, something like that. Y'all know it. Y'all know, Janet. Nice job. I was more thinking like this. Let's do some boogie with our arms. Again, getting some hip movement. Good. So your feet are pretty planted and I want those hips moving from side to side. You're getting some internal rotation. You're getting some stretch on the side of the hip. There we go. Yeah. Let's bring those feet in a little bit more narrow and do that same thing. And maybe it feels a little bit more like you're skiing on moguls. Good. Hip rotation, maybe some bobbling in those knees. The arms are countering your hips. The hips going one way, arms going the other. Yeah. And this again is one of those CPG things, like just let your body go and let the CPGs take over. If you go too slow, it's too calculated. There you go. Nice. 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. We're going to go left foot is going to step forward. Right hand touches your knee. So there's almost a little lunge to it. Beautiful. Be mindful when you're stepping back, especially if you know yourself to stumble, maybe work against a wall or a couch. Step back. Good. Other foot steps forward, cross body connection. Nice. And then step back. Forward touch and back. Forward touch and back. Work at a pace that makes sense to you. If you want to go faster than me, be my guest. Love it. Depending on how athletic you want to be, maybe you come down and touch your ankle. Something. Some sort of step forward touch. Let's do about 10 more seconds worth. Good, we're getting our heart rate up a little bit, yeah? And last one. Nice job, center up. Bring your hands to your 45-degree angles, kind of in front of you, kind of to the side. We have our thumbnails. Your chin is gonna stay steady. Your eyeballs are gonna flick from right thumb to left thumb, right thumb to left thumb, right thumb to left thumb. Good, and you can challenge that range of motion in your eyeballs by bringing your thumbs a little bit out to the side, but do not move your head. So I know that I'm probably, is anyone else wearing a ponytail? Your ponytail shouldn't swing. Good, we're gonna do 2 more. Yep. And then rest. Shake it out, put pressure on your eyeballs. Give yourself some love on your eyeballs. They were working really hard. Good. All right, we're gonna do the step forward touch again. Step forward touch. And you're gonna look at something in front of you, but your head is gonna rotate to the side that you step forward. So for example, I step forward with my left leg. I'm gonna turn my head a little bit to the left, but my eyeballs are still forward, okay? Reset your eyeballs in the middle of your face, reset your feet. This is gonna go slow at first. Step forward with the right foot touch. Turn your head a little bit to the right, but the eyeballs are forward. Center, reset. This is hard. This is a couple things all in one, right? Round package. You're like, usually we do VOR separate. All right, so we have one hand here, left foot, turning the head a little bit to the left. Center your eyeballs and reset. Nice. Go ahead and move at a pace that makes sense for you. Remember, you're always going to turn your head towards the side of the front leg. And if you want to stay with me, that's fine. I'm on the left leg, turning head left. Step back, right foot forward, turning head right, center, and back. Nice. Good, let's go 3 more or 4 more, finishing on the side you didn't start with. Good, last one maybe. Awesome, nice job. Shake it out, give yourself a bounce. If you want to go actually with some air time, add a hop there. Let things get jiggly. Things are jiggly, that's okay. We celebrate that. We don't want to be stiff and rigid. We want our body to Yep. Nice. Take a walk around your room and notice, I know we did a little bit of intervention there already, but just notice a few points and characteristics about your gait right now. Stride length. Hey, we know a new word, fascination. Fascination, shuffled gait. Yeah, I've always just said, short shuffled gait. All righty, come on back. Hopefully you have those notes in your head of how your gait was. You mentioned before that you like to be micromanaged on how to get down to the floor, so I'm going to micromanage that for you. We're going to take your right leg, and we're going to stride it back down to the mat. Slide the other leg in. Hips are going to bail to the left. Good. And you're going to swing your legs around to the front and lay on your back. Or somehow get down to the mat. Feet are separate and wide on your knees, as we always do when we first get down. Let's go. Knee drop side to side or knee waggles. You can have your arms out in a T to stretch out your chest there. As you always know, If you prefer to have a pillow under your head or you need some support anywhere in your body, your shoulder, your head, your hips, whatever, please just go ahead and grab those props. They're going to be individual to you, so I don't always mention them. Just letting your knees go side to side. And now, so through this motion here, again, we talked about this, I think early February, we talked about thigh bone rotation, hip rotation, the internal and external rotation of your thigh bones, like a mortar and pestle in those hip sockets. We need that internal and external rotation for good, efficient gait. All right, go ahead and bring your feet underneath you a bit more, so a little bit narrower. Arms are going to come down by your side. We're going in for that first bridge, but first, let's kind of let's pet the floor. I don't say that. Clog the floor with your toes. Give yourself, or pat the floor with your toes. Again, vibration, sensation, awareness of your feet. So that way when you're bridging, you're activating all the way through your big toe, okay? Or your pinky toe, or all of the toes. All right, press those hips up. Take a moment to settle yourself in. You have the big toe on the ground, the pinky toe on the ground, the heel of your foot on the ground on both sides. You are also standing sort of on the tops of your shoulders. You're going to feel your wrists down into the ground. Okay. No articulation. We're just going to lower the hips down to the floor. Again, press, bridging up, and then lowering the hips down. Very good. We're going to press, hips up, and lower the hips down. So simple, so effective. I love bridges. Bridges are key. That hip extension we talked about, again, maybe like the second or third week of February. That was about a month ago. We have internal and external hip rotation. We have hip extension. We've covered a lot in this class over the years, huh? Hopefully it's not too overload. I try to pick one thing and focus on it, but I like to pull back some reminders. Last two here. And one more time. Amazing. Slide the foot that's closest to me, the leg that's closest to me along. We're going to come to your side. That probably means the leg goes down, the arm comes up, and then you push off and you roll. Bring your knees into fetal position. Yeah, because the exercise is, the transition is also the exercise, right? All right, this is going to be a little bit interesting, but let's imagine that the seams of your pants, the inseams of your pants are lined up, they're stacked. And if you were to push your top knee so that it appears to be longer than the bottom knee, but keeping your inseams stacked on top of each other. So don't let your leg go back, don't let it come forward. It just goes longer. Yep. And then let's make that top leg shorter. Okay. Now I didn't tell you how that happens. I just told you what the outcome is. So let's just see if that works enough for you. So the knee comes forward and then the knee comes back. Yep. Knee comes forward and the knee comes back. And then start to feel in your body, like, what's your strategy for that? Because I didn't tell you how to do it. So like, how are you doing that? Yep. Are you rocking your body forward and then rocking your body back? That's good. Let's have everyone try that. Even if you aren't doing it already, rocking forward, just so we can feel the contrast too between what, the two things that I'm talking about. So rocking forward and then rocking back. That still feels kind of nice, right? On the spine, little twist. Great. Let's do two more of those full body rotations. But again, the outcome is this knee slide thing. Great. Now take your top hand and place it on the floor. Now we're going to make that knee slide happen by just moving your hip backwards, and then the hip comes forward. But our torso is quiet. So I'm going to see a lot less moving happening in the cameras right now. Hip forward, hip back. Does that make sense? Your knee sliding. Inseams are staying stacked. Love it. This is what I'm talking about when I say your hips are moving when you're walking, like your model hips, model runway walking hips. This is what I'm talking about. Last two. Yep. And last one. Great. From here, the knees are going to come up if they're not already. You're going to, you're going to split the knees. Actually, your top knee is going to come back. We'll push off the ground. And now you're in your Z sit. Pushing off the ground. Now you're in your Z sit. All right. So we have the leg folded back behind you and the leg in front of you. Nice job. Let's have everyone right here in this sort of like twisted sit. So we have both hands kind of off the diagonal of your knee. The hand that's closest to me is going to reach forward. Stretch it up like you're painting a sweep of whatever paint, purple paint on the ceiling, and then down the other side of the wall. And then you're going to reach forward, grab again, sweep up, paint the ceiling, and then down. Dip your paintbrush in the paint can on the way up. Good. And again, where is this movement coming from? What are you thinking about? Are you even thinking? Maybe you're not thinking. That's okay too. But hopefully we're having a brain-body connection of like, what am I doing here? For me and my body, I'm thinking about pushing down onto the hand that's in the ground. And that's what's creating my rotation. It's not so much this arm sweeping up and around. It's like I'm pushing down into the floor and that opens my heart open. You can try that. Let's go two more. And then on the next one, we're going to rotate into crab. So it's like up, rotate the hand. It's going to come back and we're going to come into crab. So we have our knees now bent and we're here in crab. Okay. Depending on your wrist flexibility and your chest flexibility, you may be really stretched out, but hopefully we're a little bit more upright here. Okay. Pitter patter the feet. So again, we get this awareness in our feet and maybe even kind of claw the carpet, especially if you're on plush carpet. I'm like, I don't even deal with the mats anymore. I think my carpet's pretty good. I understand hardwood, you need mat for sure. All right, and we're gonna go into a little bridge here. Okay, so we're gonna shift our weight into our hands, lift the hips up a little bit, and then the hips come down. Nice. Push. And then down. Nice job. Push. Amazing. Let's do a couple more. What did we say last time? No flash dance. Keeping your eyes relatively forward, if not just barely to the ceiling, so we're not letting our head hang back. We're staying connected through our neck muscles and press as high as you can. Good. We're going to do that one more time. Beautiful. And then return. Now we're going to bring our legs straight out in front of us. The leg that's closest to me is going to step out to the side. Yep. And then the other leg's going to join. And then the other leg steps out and we're just going to go in a circle. Good. And if you need to use your hands behind you, that's okay too. Just start to move your legs. You're doing like, oh, what did I say this last time? It was like pizza pies, right? So how few slices of pizza can you make? Big slices. And then once you get towards me, let's switch the direction. Big pizza slices. And there can be a lot of movement. You can like rock your body, do what you need to do. Use your hands. This is like a little vestibular challenge, isn't it? All right, now finish with your legs now facing the other direction that we did our bridges for. So before you were looking maybe one direction and now I'm looking the other direction. Bend your knees in. We're going to do another set of tabletop bridges. So in your tabletop bridges, you're facing the other side of the room, yeah? Okay, cool. We're going to press the hips up. Yep. And then lower the hips down. Good. Press up and lower down. Nice job. Press and down. Love it. Press and down. Good. 2 more. Push, push, push. And down. Last one. Push, push, push. And down. The leg that's closest to me is going to sort of fold underneath. You're going to roll over and lie down on your side. Knees are coming up. Knees are, sometimes I say words out of my mouth when I'm teaching. I'm like, that was terrible grammar. It just happens. Blech. All right, so we have our hips stacked. We have our knees pulled up a little bit so that the inseams of our pants are stacked. It's like they're on little tracks connected to each other. All right, remember, and they're just gonna slide. We did this on the other side just as a reminder. So you're gonna slide the top knee so that it gets longer, and then slide the top knee so that it gets shorter. And remember, I didn't tell you how to do it, so just do it. And we're gonna play with the different ways to make it happen. So neither is right or wrong. Whatever strategy comes to you first. Yeah. Nice. You got it. 2 more there. Good. Now, let's explore the 2 different strategies, at least 2 different kinds of strategies. It's probably infinite. So as you bring the top knee longer, maybe your whole body falls forward. And then when you bring the knee back, maybe your whole body opens up. Okay, so that's kind of strategy number 1. So the knee comes forward and we kind of flatten your chest on the floor, and then opening your heart towards the ceiling. Yep. Which feels good. They both feel good. Yep, last one. Great. And then feeling just the knee sliding without the torso. So you can either put your hand like on your stomach, or sometimes having your hand on the chest, or even your hand on the floor. I kind of like the chest for me. And then letting the knee slide forward and back, just coming from basically like belly button down. And when you put your hand on your chest, it kind of reminds you like, oh yeah, I'm not trying to like rock this part. It's just below that. So it's probably smaller. Yeah, a little bit more isolated, maybe tighter. Takes a lot more core, that's for sure. And again, those knees are sliding on top of each other, just the inseams. They're like on interlocking tracks. Oh, a good analogy too. Like, I don't know how many of you look at drawers. It's like you're pulling the drawer out and then you're pushing the drawer back in, and you know how like those tracks on the side, like that. Okay, last 2 and 1. Amazing. Top leg is gonna go out. Press yourself up into your twisted mermaid sit, or whatever we're calling this, twisted mermaid. Yeah. So we're now up on our hands with ourselves in the Z sit, the back leg, that those laces are down. Okay, whenever you're ready, paintbrush in hand, reach forward, dip the paintbrush in the can, sweep the ceiling. You're making a stripe on it, bring it down, dip again, up and over. And I want you to take your eyes to follow that paintbrush as it's making its mark on the ceiling, okay? And making its mark on your thigh as it comes across. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Nice job. Awesome. Thinking about the rotation again, like where is that rotation coming from? Is it the arm just like making a circle in space? Or can we get this bottom shoulder to be the driver of that movement in the torso? So pushing down into the ground, which helps open your chest. Sweep forward. Let's do that 2 more times. Yeah, and last one. Good. And return. All right, so from here, we're gonna go kind of over the front part of our thighs. Actually, let's do this. This front foot, we're going to tuck it under just a little bit. So now we're kind of in the staggered sit position. We're going to go from this position to hands and knees. All right. Let's be vague. I'm going to be vague on the description. I want you from side sit to hands and knees, ready, set, go. How did you get there? Nice. And then you can kind of even up your knees. And then you're going to go back on the same hip that you just came from. Maybe that opposite leg kind of slides back a little bit so there's space to bring your hip down. Or you bring it forward. That was perfect, Carrie. Yeah. All right, let's go. Again, the exercise is the transition. Yeah. So what's your agility? What's your ability? Agility. Ease of going from this position to hands and knees. Okay. We'll go for another 20 seconds or so of that movement. Nice. Awesome. That's it, Janet. Good. And last one. Amazing. Okay. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Two options. You're going to just come up and then you can drop to the other side and do the whole thing. Or you want to be fancy. We're going to go no hands, swing your legs around. You're now in your side sit facing the other direction. So you pick your poison. Other side, same thing. From this position to hands and knees, go. We're going to work for about 35 to 40 seconds. Yep. What's your agility to get up? Takes a lot of hip mobility and strengthen those hips, the shoulders, be able to hold, support yourself in your wrist. Nice job. About 10 more seconds worth. And then we'll finish in your hands and knees position. All right. Maybe one more or finish up that last one. Meet me in hands and knees. Walk to the center of your mat if you need to reset where you are in position in space. Let's have your toes flat. So the tops of your feet are down on the mat. We're going to rock forward over your wrist, a little wrist stretch. And then sitting back as far as you can, booty cheek to your heels. Okay, it's going to be maybe a knee stretch for you, maybe a back stretch, maybe a ankle stretch. Beautiful. And then shift forward. We're going to tuck the toes under now so that we have maybe like the toe pads there. And then sit the hips back on your heels. Maybe there's a different type of stretch there through the bottoms of the feet. Okay. So we're going to alternate from a top laces down, sitting back, to shifting forward, and then get those toe pads down and sit back. So there's a little bit of, stretching thing going on, but also like practicing dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, both in an active sense and a, stretching sense. So just a reminder, plantar flexion is when you're pointing your toes like a ballerina. And dorsiflexion is when you're pulling the top of the foot towards your shin. So getting the 90-degree angle in your ankle. Let's do two more there. And one more time, you're going to finish with your laces down. So plantar flexion, and then sitting your hips back on your heels. And we're going to come into a kneeling position. Now, if this full kneeling position does not feel good for you for whatever reason, a couple things that we can do. You can put a pillow behind your knees. That's what's called gapping the knees. So that might feel better. Someone put my pillows back on someone, meaning probably my husband, because we're the only two that live here. My pillows are way on the couch. Or if that just doesn't feel good, you can just be in this position too, high kneeling. Okay. So pick your poison, whatever feels good. So I'm going to show the low kneeling because that's what I kind of had in my brain, but high kneeling, this works too. Arms up towards the ceiling. We're going to shrug the shoulders up, reach and round your spine. Tapping your fingers on the ground, but you're not actually putting weight through them. And then draw your belly button off of your thighs or away from your thighs as you bring yourself up into that tall posture again. Good. So it kind of looks like you're maybe praying or something. Reach up and over. And then pulling on up. Love it. So you're not putting weight through your hands. You're holding that weight and load in your hips and your abdominals. Good. Let's do that one more time. And up. Nice job. If you're not already there, go ahead and come into a tall kneeling position. We're going to do transition from tall kneeling to side sit. There may be some sort of quadruped or tripod situation in between there. But basically the idea again is going from this position to this position. Okay. So again, there might be a little quadruped moment, a 4-point stance, and then coming up to high kneeling. Maybe you just do the one outrigger hand, help you come down. Yeah, you're like holding a glass of water or your favorite beverage as you're trying to get up off the floor. Or maybe you're doing no hand. Okay, so pick your poison, whatever you want to work on. Oh yeah, nice. And we're gonna stay on this one side for a few, okay? So stay on this one side so I can keep track of you, unless you're keeping track. Drop down, good. So again, outrigger is a really nice option, outrigger and then up. Good, you're like on the floor playing with the grandkids or the puppy, and then you're like, okay, time to get off the floor. Yeah, all right, let's switch to the other side. So again, outrigger or quadruped, full quadruped, that's fine too. And then if you can let go, awesome. And then up. And then as you get more confident, strong, mobile, we can omit the step of putting your hand down. Okay, use your arms. You can like swim through space. That's okay. You're like, okay. Okay. Nice and slow too. Don't let gravity win too easily. Slow. Nice job, Maria. Let's do 2 more. And one more time, you're going to finish down on the floor. Amazing. Legs out in front. Lay on your back. Okay, X roll. One of my favorite exercises for everyone. So we have our legs out a little bit and your arms sort of in a T or maybe even like a high, like Y. We're going to have your right arm come up towards the ceiling and we're going to follow our hand with our eyes either directly or we're like looking off into the distance beyond where our hand is. Okay, so that works too. So we're going to go up and over onto your elbow. And I want you to reach towards something, like lock your eyes onto something in that direction that's on the diagonal. So like whatever it is, your weight is on that hip and your weight is on that shoulder. Okay, and you've crossed across the body. Yep, and return. We're going to stay on that same side. Now, some other things that we can think about is what our legs are doing to support this. So as you come across the body, some of you may want to bend this knee, and that's okay. We can bend that knee up. Good. And then bring it back down and you can straighten out the leg. Okay. Same side, couple more. Curling up, bend the knee up. So the knee that you're rolling towards. There you go, Bill. Nice job. And bring it down. Stay on that same side. Bend the knee up and curl up. If you don't need the knee bend, don't use it. Okay. It's going to be a little bit more core when you don't bend the knee. There you go. Get all the way up onto that elbow. You're going to one more time on this side. Little crossbody. Dare I say crunch? Crunches. We don't want to crunch. We don't want to compress. But if that's what helps visual. Here we go. Other side. Left arm up. I'm going to turn so I can still roll towards you. We're going to go up and across. Up on that elbow. And again, bend that knee if it helps you get up. There you go. And then straighten the leg and roll back down. Up and across. And then bending it down. Nice job. Up and across. You got it. Last two there. And last one. Amazing. I'm sorry, you're gonna do one more time, finish up at the top. Bring both hands to the mat and then push yourself so that you come into a full sitting position. Okay. However you want to have your legs, that allows you to sit with like pretty much no hand support. If you need to bend your knees or do whatever. Yep. Awesome. I want you to just start rocking from side to side and feel, especially if you are on a harder surface, you can maybe feel how it's like the butt bone on one side and the butt bone on the other side. And then also, depending on how much tissue you have back there, maybe you feel the tissue rolling over the bone and you're like, that's kind of funny. Yeah, rocking from side to side. So getting your weight shifting going. Now, what if you were to start walking backwards on those butt bones? We're going to walk backwards. So it's like weight shifting off to one side, and then your butt bone slides backwards and then plants down. And then we're going to weight shift onto that one. And then the butt bone slides backwards, butt bone slides backwards, butt bone slides backwards, butt bone slides backwards. And you're going to just start to inch your way backwards, traveling to the other side of your mat on your butt bones. And you can use your arms. Nice. Once you've reached the end of your runway, you're going to roll over your legs to come into hands and knees. Now, if you wanted the narration of that, you can find your own way or do it my way. Tuck the legs in and roll over the top of your shins. That one's tricky. There you go, Carrie. Nice job. Now you're in crawling position and you have a great runway in front of you. As we crawl forward, I want you to think about lifting your opposite arm and knee simultaneously. So before we start taking steps forward, lift your left hand and your right knee. You went from 4-point to a 2-point stance. And then the limbs come down. And then same thing on the other side, opposite diagonal. Yeah, good. It doesn't have to be like bird dog. It's just like lifting the limbs up. I mean, you can do bird dog, that's fine too. Yeah. And so then you start to pick up your pace between your switches and you're like, okay, I'm now maybe in my CPGs. And you start to maybe lift and then hover a little bit forward. But the tempo and that switch of opposite arm to leg is the same. Yep, start to crawl forward if you haven't already. Once you hit the end of your runway, cross the legs, roll again over your shins onto your bum, or find your way onto your bum. Legs out in front, or however, start rocking side to side. Hello, butt bones. Start to take that into your backwards butt walking. It's called sit bone walking, actually, I should say. Sit bone walking. Awesome. So if like your sit bones were your feet, right? Yeah. So interesting what Janet brought up about the destination is, if walking is challenging, it's like walking has a lot of components to it and like a lot of like segments of limbs and joints to consider. So when you're working on gait, like this is my belief, when you're working on gait, like take out some of those variables, strip it down to the most basic thing, hip rotation, hip walk, like walking with your hips, just like that. Okay. All right. And then we're going to cross over the shins or somehow come into your all fours. And again, when you're doing your crawling, it's like you're taking the feet and the ankle out of the equation, which obviously isn't fully integrating your body, but it allows you to like, okay, there's less things that I need to keep track of so I can really get into the nitty gritty of what is walking with my hip. All right, so opposite arm and leg lift. just start getting the tempo. Again, you got to go at a certain tempo for those CPGs to come into play. Good. And this is where like the bird dog might just like take you too long. So you can kind of think of like, what is that? Kitty shiatsu, like that like pawing of your paws. And then start to take that energy into a forward locomotion, still with the same tempo and the same kind of, just that little lift. It doesn't need to be big steps. Yeah. Love it. When you get to the end of your run day, cross over, legs come out in front of you. We're gonna do one more lap of sit bone walking behind us. Yeah. So start with weight shifting. Again, always start with that weight shifting. So like, remember, this is the precursor for walking. Like if you ever get stuck in you're up and you're standing and you're like, oh, I want to take a step, but I'm frozen. Start with just the weight shifting. And then that kind of cues again your CPGs to like kick in the pill. It's like, oh, okay, we're starting to walk now. Start to add the backwards butt scoot, one sit bone at a time, which requires that kind of single-sided pelvis movement that we worked on on our sides with the knee slide. Single-sided pelvis movement. Good. Love it. When you finish, hold the legs through, come into hands and knees or however you want to get there. And we're going to come up to high kneeling. Good. So high kneeling, hip extension. So your hips are tucked underneath you. Nice, tall, proud spine. There you go. Feel the stretch and the openness in your hip. Good. And we're going to start weight shifting. Weight shifting. I'm just going to turn towards you. Weight shifting. Good. Now start to kind of weight shift, bring the hand through. We did this last week. Okay. Not actually locomoting yet, just weight shifting to knee tap. Finding a tempo again that taps into your CPG. Got to be quicker. Good. Start to locomote forward with that same contact. Like doing a high knee march and walking at the same time. Good. Awesome. Once you get to the end of your runway, I want you to turn to face one side of your room and sideways knee walk back to the start. Good. Turn to face knee. Me, knee, face knee. Weight shifting. Again, we've taken the foot and the ankle out of the equation so you can really focus on cross-body connection without all the variables now, right? We've just added from the sit bone walking, we've just now added like the thigh, okay? So tapping without coming forward yet, picking up the tempo, getting the rhythm, boom. See if you can match me. Yeah, or at least with the hand touch. And then locomoting forward. Well, you got to use your hamstrings so that your feet don't drag behind, huh? Nice. Good, good. And then you're going to turn and face the other direction that you did not turn last time, sidestepping. Bye, Alana. Have a great trip. Good. Nice job. All right, we're going to bring ourselves up to standing now. So again, I'll give you a direction and a pathway to go. And if you have a different pathway that you want to take, maybe using a chair or otherwise, please do what you need to do. Today, we're going to do the pathway of hands come down, tucking the toes. Carrie, we did this one yesterday. Heels, hips come back, and you're going to push so that you roll over your feet. There you go. And then maybe you're in a deep squat. Maybe you're already standing at this point, and then you're going to stand on it. Great. Take a moment, let the blood get to where it needs to be. There you go. And then walk around your space once you feel like you've reached equilibrium, and kind of just feel how your body feels. How does your gait feel compared to when we started? Any changes? Subtle changes, big changes? Even if it's just the vibe, like the overall feeling doesn't have to be like, oh, my foot articulates 1 more inch more on my forefoot. No, it can just be like a vibe. Amazing. And then come to your station again, or like the center of your spot, and allow your feet to just be underneath you. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that. If you want to close your eyes, but you also want to hold on to the wall or the chair, that's good too. And then just notice where your weight distribution lies. Are you falling into one specific quadrant? Or are you visiting all with that postural sway? Maybe soften your knees a little bit if you're finding that your knees are still stiff. And I say that because I felt my knees be stiff, so I'm going to say it out loud to you. Maybe it's you too. Good. Go ahead and take your arms up towards the ceiling. Inhale, push your hands up, shrug the shoulders up, and shake it out. Do a little dance, wiggle out those hips. Rock on, team. Nice job. Good work. I'm going to turn off the recording. If you have any feedback or